Hey everyone, it's Fox from Inferno Fox Gaming, and today both JMeowls and myself are going to be talking about the 5 games that made us gamers. And this is inspired both by videos that I've seen from retro rivals, but also members of the Super Retro Force, such as Rad Bash Gaming, the Mad Belmont, and Iowa Retro Gamer Dad. And the links for these videos and these YouTubers are going to be in the description below. So make sure you check them out after you check this out. And again, if you like what you see, make sure that you like, hit subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. So we have to ask, what is a gamer? Is it a miserable pile of secrets? No. Okay, overly maimed Symphony of the Night dialogue aside, my take on what a gamer is might rub some people the wrong way, but a gamer simply is anyone who plays games, from playing Candy Crush from time to time or only FIFA and or Call of Duty, to investing hundreds of hours into a favorite MMORPG or Elden Ring. They are gamers, period. Because ultimately, we're all here to enjoy one of our favorite hobbies in as many or little hours as we please. Would you happen to agree with that, JMeowls?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so now I personally, again, I'm old. I've been playing video games for almost 40 years, since I was 2 years old, with my first memories of the ColecoVision game called Antarctic Adventure. And while my tastes may have shifted to include more genres as I've gotten older, I've never stopped playing video games at all. JMeowls, how long have you been playing video games?
Since I was little, I remember as, early as 5 years old, I used just to play around on our Super Nintendo system, and we had Sega. I used to play games with my brother, but I remember at that time, I wasn't like a very serious gamer. As a kid, you just kind of play around. I remember playing like Mario games, but I just never really was serious to where I would just play it from the first level all the way to the end. I just played around with it, and then at the time, Blockbuster, when they were around, we used to rent movies, and me and my brother would rent some video games, and I used to always get like the Looney Tune games, and so I just always play with those. So I would say more in my teens when I became more of a serious gamer.
Makes sense. And so you're gonna be hearing us talk about a lot of these games that we played as young kids to even young adults. And with the definitions and our kind of high-level histories revealed, let's go ahead and jump right to it. So my first game is going to be the classic Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. And really focusing on Super Mario Brothers, this was the first video game that we got for the NES, which of course makes sense since this was a pack-in title when we got it in May of 1987. Very familiar month and year for you. Being 4 years old, I didn't do a lot of the playing of the game yet, but it was fun to watch my older brothers play, and sometimes even seeing my mother play as well. It was also the first game that I was genuinely awful at, though it motivated me to get much better. And with this tenacity, it led me to be the very first person in the family to beat a video game on the Super Nintendo when we got that, the day after, which was Christmas of 1991. And Super Mario Bros. 1. This is still fun to play today, and it's something I've heard even young players nowadays mention positively. So, JMeowls, what's the first game that made you a gamer?
So my first choice, now this is a physical copy of the Game Boy Advance of Super Mario World. We don't have an actual physical copy for the NES.
The SNES, yeah.
Yeah, SNES. My first game will probably Super Mario World. This is the game that I used to play, and even seen my family play religiously, that really got me into the whole Super Mario World, literally. And ever since then, I played like all the other Mario games growing up. I probably didn't start playing more Mario games, like the newer ones, when like in the mid-aughts. But I picked Super Mario World as my number one because that was the introduction for me to get into like all the Super Mario games, and I still do play until now.
And it's also got one of your favorite video game characters.
Yoshi, yeah.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Yoshi. We've got a few things and that one statue, Mario on Yoshi too. So
It was funny, you asked me one time years ago what my favorite video game character was, and you expected me to say Lara Croft, but no, it's actually Yoshi.
and that's so cool, and that right there is the history as to why. So my second game that I would say has made me a gamer, it might surprise some people, but it is Final Fantasy II US. Again, just like Super Mario World, we don't have a physical copy of Final Fantasy II US. This is the Super Famicom version of the same game. So while Final Fantasy III US, which again we know is the sixth one in the series, is my all-time favorite game, this entry, though, had a profound impact on me. And it's not like I didn't play, or at least watch my brothers play, the first entry on the NES as well. It was this one that really allowed me to play it through on my own, which thanks again to this game having 4 different save files. Me and my 2 brothers, that's 3, so hey, littlest brother gets his own save. And with the great gameplay, easy to understand and easier than ever battle system, and stupidly easy text to read thanks to the English translation, it was the perfect game for an 8-year-old to understand and love. Because of that, it also was my gateway into JRPGs, something I've never not played since then. My oldest brother started to bow out about this time from video games, but my older brother was still into them, so this was also the start of us enjoying many RPGs on the Super Nintendo together. And with my older brother no longer with us, I'm glad for Final Fantasy II US for the many memories that I shared with him and it leading to other RPGs that we played together. So, JMeowls, how about you? What is your second game?
So my second choice is this. I know in the previous podcast episodes I mentioned a lot that I like Tomb Raider, and I played a lot of Tomb Raider growing up, especially in my preteen. So I picked the first Tomb Raider game. I was around 11 years old when I got the PlayStation for Christmas, and along with those 2 games were Tomb Raider and Crash Bandicoot. Really, I got more involved with the Tomb Raider with Lara Croft because at a young age, seeing like a female-led character really got me into the whole gaming. And what attracted me was because I was able to play a female character. I know there was Miss Pac-Man, but I never really got into the Pac-Mans growing up. But for me, personally, I felt like Tomb Raider was the very first video game led by a female character.
Yeah, absolutely. And really important one for that reason. A lot of the mid 90s when Lara Croft came out, it really helped to further the female protagonist sort of a vehicle, which is really important to video games overall.
Mm-hmm.
So my third pick is going to be the PC game, and I'm throwing all y'all a loop here because generally I'm known as a console gamer, but it's going to be the PC game Doom, and this of course is the console version of Doom on the Switch, and this is the Doom collection. But the PC game, while my oldest brother really didn't stick with video games, he always had an interest in computers, and that said, he was the one that got me into the Doom series. Starting again with the very first entry that I used to play on our mother's old MS-DOS 386 computer. I mean, this thing was so old, but man, it could really run the game well. The old joke of Doom running on anything makes sense, as again on the 386 it ran fantastically, and it was as fun as it was gory and violent. And this was another gateway game. Not only did it get me into some games I played on the PC and the Doom series as a whole, but really other first-person shooters too. And I feel lucky because my oldest brother got me into Doom back around like 1994, giving me experience with these FPSs 3 whole years before GoldenEye 64 came out. And while I don't really have any interest with the military shooters like Call of Duty, there's nothing wrong with them. They're just not for me. I still enjoy first-person shooters. They call them boomer shooters now, but I still enjoy these first-person shooters like these. So, JMeowls, how about you? What is your next game that made you a gamer?
So my third choice, growing up when I still had the PlayStation 1, the following summer, I remember going to Best Buy, looking at PlayStation 1 games, and the one that really caught my eye and I've been a fan since of is Spyro the Dragon. Trying to get the glare out. What caught my attention with this game, I remember looking at it, I'm like, oh, this looks really cute, and so my mom was with me, I think we were at Best Buy, and I asked her, like, can we get this? I want to play this. So thankfully she bought it for me, and I remember just playing it through it. Like, I played it fast, like every day. It was over the summer, so like almost every single day I was playing it. And I finished it off, and I think it was just like the music and the levels and the characters, because I always like playing games that have like animals in it. So what really got me into Spyro was just like the magical world and the music. And then when Spyro 2 and 3 came out, I was excited for those. And to this day, I still love Spyro and the statues that I have. And I'm really hoping for a Spyro 4 game. But yeah, hint hint. So I would say Spyro the Dragon is the video game that got me into wanting to play more video games.
So in Spyro, when you mentioned the music, wasn't the music composed by the drummer for The Police?
I believe so. I have to look into that again because that sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's really an interesting thing, and really cool that it was around that time that video game music as an art form, besides video games themselves, really started to take off. So for me, my number 4, my 4th game, games that made me a gamer, I'm going to get kind of moving the clock a little bit. I talked about a couple games when I was younger. This one is one where I was a little bit older, and that is Super Smash Bros. Melee. While myself and my best friend Mobster and Jason the 13th really got into Smash Bros. 64, playing it almost every day at their house, it was Melee that really expanded this for us. I was often the person to beat, as you guys probably know if you listen to the Inferno cast that does post here every Tuesday, includes JMeowls and myself, as well as a couple friends and family. As we've mentioned there, I was decent. I would say maybe better than average at this in Smash Brothers overall. And I also loved the myriad of Nintendo franchise characters all in one single game. And this was before Smash Ultimate, where Smash Ultimate had like 84 characters. This is only, I think, 28, 32? So only like 28 characters. But it also marked the beginning part of my life where I became much more social and started playing video games with others a lot throughout the aughts and the early teen decades. And it also led to a number of other social games up to and including the Halo series, well, specifically Halos 1 through 3, Rock Band 1 through 3, and much more. So JMeowls, what is your 4th game that made you a gamer?
So moving on to the PlayStation 2, which I got around 2004, I believe. I was in high school. I know they were out on a console, but we didn't have PC computers at that time. So my first experience with The Sims was this game called The Sims Bustin' Out. This really introduced me to the whole Sims world. And this is another game that I really enjoy playing a lot after school. I really got into The Sims. I loved creating your own characters, having them have their own like houses, their jobs. Also, I used to laugh a lot when my Sim would, start things on fire. I know that sounds a little morbid, but
A little Beavis and Buttheady.
yeah, but this game really got me into like all this other Sims games. I have another collection, and I was really excited when The Sims 4 came out because I think they stopped making them on a console. I'm not a PC gamer, but I really wanted to play The Sims, and once they announced that another Sims 4 for the console was coming out, so The Sims would probably be the next game that I choose that made me become a gamer.
Yeah, because it sort of also, when I talked about how Smash Melee led me into other games, you could almost say that The Sims led you into other games too. Like, you dabble a little bit in Animal Crossing, and you've really gotten into lately the Disney Dreamlight Valley series, and something like The Sims really helped to pique your interest.
Yeah, I think it was The Sims that led me to other similar games that were like that.
Absolutely. So for me, I'm going to mention the last game that I would say made me a gamer, and this is the most recent one. Because I feel when it comes to games that make us gamers, we are humans, we are ever changing, and we allow one another to change. That is essentially how we are as living beings. I mean, not to change is to die. So we want to live, and we're going to continue to grow. For me, that growth was seen with Dragon Quest 3. Okay, so I started playing Dragon Quest 3 during the very beginning of Schmovid. Again, we're not going to say the name. It rhymes with Schmovid, but playing this really marked an odd event in my life. It was the start of my, instead of midlife crisis, my gaming life crisis. Because I noticed that I had a tendency to stick to what I'd known, mainly safe franchises I grew up with playing, like Final Fantasy and Super Mario. And I decided it was time to branch out, do something new. And I started with what's known as one of the worst ports of this particular game. It's a fantastic game, but this is a port of the mobile version of Dragon Quest 3. But when I played it, the game was so good. And not only did it inspire me to play the rest of the mainline series, up to and including 1 and 2 here, as well as 4 through 6 on my mobile phone, because I didn't have the DS ones, 7 and 8 on my 3DS, 9 on the DS, and then finally 11 on the Switch. It also had me branch out with the Ys series and more RPGs that I'd never touched before. And honestly, since this, in March of 2020, I've never looked back. I've played more new video game titles than I ever have since then. And because of that, I feel like it's helped me really cement what I really enjoy and love, and that's RPGs and platformers and some action games and some first-person shooters and some adventure games and everything like that. But I know what I like, and thankfully we have quite a dearth of fantastic video games that we can play and enjoy. So how about you, JMeowls? What is the last game that you'd say made you a gamer?
The last game that I chose is Until Dawn. Not only did this introduce me to more horror genre games, but this also introduced me to video games that have that choose your own adventure. So this was the first game that I ever played where you had options to choose. And that introduced me to games such as Life is Strange, and I think there's a couple other that I can't think of right now, but this really got me into that kind of like genre. And also, again, like I said, it introduced me to a horror genre. That a game like that really wanted me to keep playing more horror. So if anybody has recommendations, please send them in the comments below. I would love to see what you suggest for me to try. So yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a great game. Are you excited for the remake?
Yes, I have that pre-ordered.
There you go.
I'll be playing that for sure.
So now I would have also loved to include other titles like Super Metroid, Rock Band 2, or Tetris, but you know, it is hard limiting ourselves to just 5 games. Now, make sure that you guys let us know in the comment section below, what are the video games that made you all gamers? Are they similar to any of the ones that we had? Was there any surprises based on what you've seen here on Inferno Fox Gaming for JMeowls and I? Let us know in the comments section below. We'd love to start a conversation with you. Any other parting words or anything, JMeowls?
I don't have anything witty to say.
No, that's okay. Neither do I. You don't come here for the wit. You come here for the video games. So thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.